Welcome everyone, it's the Crypto Lark. Very excited to have the chance today to speak with Vlad from Prometeus Labs. Vlad, how's it going?
Hi Lark, it's going well. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Now, before we jump into all the fun stuff and talk about what you guys are doing, I have to ask you, but that's crazy what's behind you. That's Elon Musk on your wall. This is nuts. Why is Elon Musk on your wall?
You know, because for me, Elon Musk is like a role figure, and I'm trying also doing a bit of my effort to change the world, at least it's a small part of it.
Very cool. He's definitely a worthy role model to have in your life, and he's a really cool figure, and he's one of my personal heroes too, so that's very cool. Now, we're going to be talking about what you guys are doing at Prometeus and going into all the details of how it works. But before we do get into that, just a quick note to everyone in the audience. So please, everyone, as always, remember to do your own due diligence, and a massive thank you to the team at Prometeus Labs for supporting the channel by sponsoring today's video. Now, Vlad, the elevator pitch. So what is the short version of what you guys are doing?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can talk about it in hours, but I will try to make it short. So, I mean, Prometeus network is a secure and decentralized protocol for data exchange and storage. So, I mean, on a high level, this protocol allows anybody to upload any kind of data into the network and monetize it through the protocol. But, you know, contrary to many other data exchange protocols out there, we have quite a narrow focus in the beginning of our journey. So, I mean, we start from the influencer marketing field. We plan to work with influencers, encourage them to upload their data from social platforms they have into the network, allow them to monetize it, and gain access to the data and the products we make on their data. So, in this sense, actually, reference to the name of Prometeus, we, like Titan, that gave fire to people, are building infrastructure that gives people a freedom of choice how they utilize and monetize their data.
That's really cool, because what we see right now on the internet is a model of data based on exploitation, where big companies like Facebook, they take all your data, they sell all your data, you don't know where your data goes. But you guys want to solve that problem.
Yeah, actually, we are not only just a protocol. I mean, at Prometeus, we are doing things in parallel. We are both developing an infrastructure, but we are also building different businesses and products around that infrastructure. For example, we already have a first product for the influencer market, which is actually will serve a first commercial application of the data and the application of the network. So, and this product will be integrated in the Prometeus and serve as a first dApp, basically.
And so the influencer market, obviously it's a really big market, and you know, I'm in that market, a lot of people are in that market. It's very big, and obviously there's a lot of data that from all different areas that you can look at. So after the influencers, who is your big targets? I mean, obviously that's a good place to start, because the influencers will not only spread the information about what you're doing, but also benefit from it. But who's next? What are the other big categories that you want to target?
You know, it actually comes from the problem. As you correctly mentioned, there is a big problem that people's data are used by big companies without any reference to them, without their consent, monetization. It's one problem. The second problem is that data mining companies and IE companies are struggling to get the data. They don't have actually legitimate sources of the data. I mean, we have encountered this ourselves, because for one of our products, we were using data from Instagram. And then Cambridge Analytica scandal happened, and basically Facebook has limited access to its API. And it's actually happened not only to us, but with any other data mining company out there. So only way how you can get the data, you can go or on the black market with some shady data brokers, or you can go and scrap the data. But I mean, the data you get has questionable legal quality and status. So I mean, you can try to monetize it, and then Facebook will come to you and say, "Hey, it's our data," and then you can have a legal conflict. So I mean, that's what we are trying to solve. And that's why our targets. I mean, we start from the influencer marketing, but first, of course, we have a target group of the influencers who upload the data, and that's actually already a big thing. So, I mean, we are targeting them. Secondly, we are targeting data mining companies who can join the Prometeus network and work with the data, refine the data, and put it back on the blockchain. And, of course, developers of the products who can utilize the data and use analytical products which they can create on Prometheus ecosystem, and which can have a tremendous value for the end customers. So, for example, in our case, we already, as I mentioned before, we already have first commercial application. So we have a product which allows to identify and analyze influencers on Instagram based on their target audience. So our customers are marketing agencies, brands who want to do marketing campaigns. For example, platforms who do the matching between brands and influencers. But matching will be done as per the data sets we can provide. Or, by the way, influencers themselves, because we have encountered this before, that influencers themselves don't know full amount of data about their audience. So, I mean, you don't know it all. Instagram doesn't provide it all. You don't know your competitors. You don't know your partners. So by having this data, you can actually strategically manage how you work on your content and your audience and in which direction to move. And of course, I mean, there can be even fans who just want to follow their idol and know what's actually he's doing, whether he's legit or not. So, I mean, and that's only our first commercial application of the first step. So,
yeah, and that's a great use case because it's about verification of data. It's about being able to easily monetize that data too. That's, I think, something really big because it's difficult right now. Like you said, you have these third-party brokers. There's a black market for data, and it's a crazy situation. But you have a working product already. Now, I want to ask about that working product. Is this already using blockchain, or is blockchain coming later for that working product?
Yeah, I mean, to answer this, I also need to speak about regulatory part. So, I mean, as I mentioned before, there is currently a big regulatory limbo. So actually, for a centralized system, it's kind of hard to monetize the data. So you cannot really openly market and sell such products because you can have like compliance issues. And that's why blockchain here makes its system decentralized. So you actually, first of all, people are sending their data, they're giving their consent to use the data. I mean, data is stored decentralized. Nobody is actually touching the data. I mean, because it's stored on the network, it's encrypted. Nobody has a direct access. So that's makes it much more legally compliant for companies, and for the debt I mentioned, to actually monetize it. And yeah, I mean, currently we have the product, but it's not yet integrated with the network. We will integrate it with the network in around October. And then we can have a full commercial launch of this product, even when the network will be in MVP stage on Ethereum.
Very cool. Now, how do you keep my data safe? So if I'm, an influencer and I'm putting data on the blockchain, right? how do I keep other people from seeing that and taking it? And what kind of protection will there be for my privacy?
Sure. So basically, we are using encryption mechanism for secure storage. So the data that your influencer upload is divided in two parts, basically. It is metadata, which will be visible on a blockchain and allows basically other participants to search for the relevant data, and encrypted part. So encrypted data is stored on the centralized storage. So it's not stored on a blockchain. It's stored off-chain, but access to the data is encrypted, and it's can be accessed only through the blockchain, basically. So in this sense, it's like a zero trust system. So, I mean, nobody except the data owner and the supply chain he makes on the blockchain can access the data. I mean, we ourselves cannot access the data as well.
That was going to be my next question, because if you have a data center where that's hosted, you can't access that data and, you know, sell it to other people or whatever. It's only with my keys can I access that data or release that data to someone else.
Because that data is actually also encrypted, you know, on the node. And I mean, we actually don't know or won't know even which node has which data. That's actually makes it much secure than centralized systems.
So you're going to be bringing artificial intelligence in to help the system here. How are you going to be using AI to help make this product work?
Yeah, sure. So AI models is actually the key here, because raw data itself has a really little value for the end customers. So different AI models, technologies, and data mining techniques can actually take valuable insights from the data, and they can have a big value for the end customers. I just give you an example. Raw data can represent, like, influencer uploads his data, but from the raw data perspective, it will be like just a link to profile pictures on influencer, on his followers, yeah? But for example, in our application, our AI model takes all these links and uses all the photos collected. It uses its own AI model to recognize face, to gender, age, based only on the photo recognition techniques. And then it collects all this data and encompasses it in one metric, which actually shows overall age and gender on influencer audience. I mean, brands and end customers, they would like to have such insights, not just the raw data. That's why, I mean, the data mining here and AI is pretty important. So from our side, we already have our AI models, and we will also create a model toolkit for other developers and companies to join the network afterwards, further down the road.
Now, I wanted to ask a bit about your clients as well. You mentioned a little bit about how the clients can actually use that. Now, Prometeus Labs, you guys have some very big clients that you're already working with, you know, some very big brand names. You can tell us a couple of those names, but I want to ask, how do you convince those big brand names to say, hey, we're doing this blockchain thing, try it out?
Sure. Okay, so actually I think I touched it a little bit, but the main point is here that, I mean, you should always distinguish. There are like demand side created inside the network. So inside the network, that's data mining companies and different app developers who access the data directly. They create demand in the network. But network itself is like an engine under the hood of the car. So the customers, like end customers, like big brands, they are using the end products. So that's created on the network. So they do not need to go into the blockchain directly. So they want to have the end products. So in our case, in our brands, those brands mentioned on the website, they were users of the commercial app we have right now. But due to the Facebook case, we had to basically limit access to the app, and now we need actually Prometeus network for integration and further launch of the app to make it again commercially available like worldwide.
Mm-hmm. So if I'm a big brand and I want the end product, right? This is obviously the point is I don't care how I get the data, but I want the data. So the question I think comes to the use of your tokens. So will I, as a big brand, need to buy tokens and pay Prometeus Labs, for example, in order to access that data? Is that how it will work? Can you tell us a bit more about how the token will be used in your ecosystem?
Yeah, sure. So, by the way, I wouldn't say that brands are not really sensitive on how they actually get their data, because I would say that now they're becoming much more sensitive than before, because there are different accusations of misproper data usage. And this is one of the values of the network, because due to blockchain, you have a transparent data source. You get the data directly from people, which is actually, fully legally compliant. And brands actually like this. That's a good story for any data mining company or analytical product company which actually uses that product, because when there was a good access to Facebook API and you had a certificate, big brands would like to work with you. But if you cannot tell where do you get the data, not everyone is okay with this. Regarding the token use, so our token has two main functions. First function, it is utility function. It allows access to the network. So, first, when you want to access the data inside the network, you need token for this. No other way around. Nobody can access it other way around. Secondly, as I mentioned before, we have inside the network different participants. We have companies who actually help to upload the data, who work with influencers and serve as kind of data aggregators. We have IE companies who access the data, enrich it, and sell it further down the network. And we have different dApp developers who actually use the data they receive from the network to develop their products. So all their transactions between themselves in the network are governed through the token. So there is no other way around it. Yes, you correctly mentioned in the dApps, in the end dApps, for the end customers, you can have our token as a payment instrument. But to be honest, we will only do it in our dApps that we are funding, and we will encourage to use it. But we definitely think that there should be also like a fiat payment gateways and other dApps on the ecosystem. Yeah, they can actually come join and make their own financial transactions with the end customers. So, we cannot regulate this because we are building a public network here. And of course, the network itself serves as a reward mechanism for people. So, if you upload your data, you will be rewarded in tokens when somebody accessed your data. And that's only utility function, by the way.
Which is pretty cool utility. Before you get into that second part, that's pretty cool utility because, again, you're getting paid for your data in tokens that you can hold those tokens, do what you want with them, or you can just go and trade them off for whatever and buy yourself a pair of shoes. That's pretty cool. Yeah, because right now Facebook's taking it all. You don't get anything from Facebook. You're offering to give people money for their data. That's pretty awesome.
Exactly. And from the work function, so as Pierre also will move to our own blockchain, we would need our token to serve as a work function. So it's to have a stable and secure network. So basically, it will serve as an insurance deposit. So when, for example, if you want to join as an enricher, you need to have some insurance deposit in order to work with the data to basically to avoid bad actors from the participant side. We also will have our own proof of stake algorithm. So that's why blockchain nodes would need to stake our tokens. It is also used as a transaction fees inside our blockchain as gas on Ethereum. And the nodes who actually do the storage of the data is also rewarded through the tokens. So it's actually like storage and processing fees. I would say that from the token economic perspective, we were quite serious with this. I mean, one of our team members is quite famous in Europe. Token.
Are you talking about Arthur?
No, I'm actually talking about Dmitry.
Because you guys, I just wanted to mention this. You guys have quite a few like really interesting people on team. Tell us about Dmitry first, but after you tell us about Dmitry, can you tell us a little bit about Arthur as well? Because I really want to make sure we talk about him because he's really a cool character.
I mean, Dmitry, just to close the token economics section, I mean, Dmitry Vizhnitsky, he's a quite famous economic person. So he is making a really good economic and business models. And he is quite, I think, known in some circles of the blockchain community as a person who tries to work with different tokenomics to calculate fundamental values of the networks. And so we are glad to have him on our team, and we are actually putting a lot of work to make it work, to make the tokenomic system great and sustainable in the long term. I mean, currently it's still on paper, but I think there could be additional adjustments till when we'll be nearing our mainnet, and that's why it's actually pretty also important to have actual commercial application even before we get to the mainnet, because you can get real data out of it, which is actually important for further implementation of the network and economics. So regarding our team as such, I mean, our CEO, Arthur, is a quite famous data scientist in Russia. So he's a serial entrepreneur. He has like 20 years of experience in data science. He founded several successful companies like WebVisor. It's a users behavior analytical service, which was acquired by Yandex. Yandex is I think a first.
It's Russia's company. Google for anyone who doesn't know.
It's Russian Google. Yeah,
it's a massive company.
And actually, his second company, which he built and sold, was Talk.ru, which was predecessor of Reddit, which was acquired by Mail.ru, a second largest data company in Russia. So, I mean, he was also an ex-lead of Yandex Metrica, which is the world's second web analytics service. So, I mean, he is pretty well-known data scientist, and that's like, and most of the AI models we currently use are created by him alone. And actually, we have still more to come. And really hope that we can add some big added value. I mean, our CTO, Sergey, is also quite an experienced person in the blockchain field. He worked on several projects like Acropolis, Melonport, Dharma. I myself, I'm actually a business development person, and I am a spokesperson for the company. I hope I'm doing my work well enough. So I have a legal and financial background. I have a big experience in business development in pharma, but I have been also in crypto for a long time. have been trading Bitcoin from actually 2011, but maybe not that successful. And by the way, I lost quite a bit of my money during the collapse of one exchange.
Oh, no.
Like many people.
Oh, man.
Yeah, probably you know that.
Yeah, that's a tough time. That's a tough time.
Yeah, it was actually, yeah. And you know, especially in 2017, I really felt what this actually means
man.
to have a FOMO, you know. But I became active early, and yeah, actually I like, you know, when the blockchain is headed, and really like to be a part of this movement.
Well, it's a very exciting industry, and one thing I want to mention too, or bring up here, is that your company, other people are excited about it too, and I think that's something that's really important to bring in here, that you've managed to attract some very significant investors to come in to invest into Prometeus Labs. I mean, we have BlackRock and we have NGC, which is Neo Global Capital for anyone who doesn't know what that is. So these are some very big investors in the crypto space. So what are those investors, I guess, what do they bring to the project? I mean, I know they bring lots of money, which is great, but I mean, besides that, what's the value that they're bringing for you?
Yeah, I mean, as you correctly mentioned, investors, first of all, of course, bring investment, but
money's great.
but they're actually bringing a lot of networking and a lot of advice. I mean, I would say like investors are like parents to a startup. I mean, they are partly determine its future together with the founders.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, as we are both crypto project and project that has like ties to the real businesses and which wants to have like a real commercial applications from day one. So we need investors from like two worlds. NGC, yeah, I mean, it's really honor that they invested with us. So, I mean, they are well-known crypto VC. They have a great network. I mean, we have been following their advice. They actually can help a lot in the crypto space. Mm-hmm. And actually, not only in crypto, but outside crypto, especially in the Asian markets, because one of the primary markets for we consider for our first commercial application is Asian. And actually, it's Korea. That's why we had some focus on Korea first. BlackRock Capital is a more traditional VC. They have good connections in the real world sector. So we need the help they can give in connecting with companies in Europe for the first commercial application. Yeah, so we actually have also several other investors and partnerships, which will be disclosed during the road ahead. So
very cool.
So actually, I think many news to come.
Great. And the final question for you today is, we do have the token will be available for the public coming up soon. So can you tell us a little bit of information about that, and also tell us a little bit about what else we can expect from Prometeus Labs this year?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we have conducted our fundraise. We had like a token sale on Token Man in Korea in the end of May. Mm-hmm. So by this we have like officially conducted our fundraising efforts. So we think that token will be liquid by the end of this month. And yeah, currently our focus is R&D, business development, and liquidity of Prom token. I think the biggest news that we will have that, I mean, although we will be still not on the mainnet this year, but even on our prototype on Ethereum, we will have a first commercial application and we will show our product. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I think we will even demonstrate it soon to all the people in our community, so they can actually just can go and touch this product and to play with it. to see that whether it's actually interesting or not, to gain insights maybe on some influencers. And yeah, I mean, that's actually how we plan to start it, because I mean, our community must not only be investors or holders of prompt token, but hopefully also users of our product.
Absolutely. Well, for anyone who wants more information, there's of course the link to the website down below and link to the social links. So if you want to follow them on, social media or engage in the community, definitely go and check that out. Vlad, thank you so much for coming on today and telling us a little bit what you guys are doing. It's such an interesting topic, the taking the power back for your data. Very cool stuff. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Lark. It was really a pleasure to talk with you and be here. I'm really looking forward to your visit to Moscow or to St. Petersburg when you will come with your family. So I would be happy to meet with you.
I hope to see you there. Thank you very much.
Yeah, goodbye.
Bye.